Welcome back to the SkinartJ Tattoos YouTube channel. My name is Alana and I am here with the artist herself, Jay. Thank you so much for having me back on your channel, Jay.
Thanks for also showing up.
Anytime. Today we're going to be talking about artwork and consultations. So I'm going to start us off today with a little bit of a quote that I think it truly reflects what you're buying when you are buying a custom tattoo from an artist such as yourself. When you buy from an independent artist, you're buying more than just a painting or a novel or a song. You're buying hundreds of hours of experimentation and thousands of failures. You're buying days, weeks, months, and years of frustration and moments of pure joy. You're buying a piece of heart, a piece of soul, and most importantly, you're buying that artist more time to do something that they are truly passionate about, something that makes all of the above worth the fear and the doubt, something that puts the life into living. I love that quote. It's by Rebecca Joy Plett, who is an artist based out of Vancouver, BC. So does that speak true for what you're buying when you get a tattoo from you?
I would very much agree with that. It very much resonates. I've been on this path since I was very young with just creating artwork, and there's been a lot of tribulations along the way and a lot of experimenting and learning. And as it goes, there's always more to be had. So it's just different parts of my journey. So yes.
Excellent. I love that. And it's not just drawing pretty pictures. You have to draw pictures that are going to look good on skin and know how that medium shows up on every person's different skin and how to make it look good. There's a lot that goes into it.
There's quite a bit, because then you get into color theory, you get into the body flow, you get into the artist and just where their artistic skill is, you get into different styles. Like there's a lot to consider when getting into engaging with an artist.
Excellent. Well, we'll be talking more about that, so I'm looking forward to that. The statistic that I chose for today, I think accurately reflects the art of a tattoo artist. Tattoos have a positive aspect to those who get tattooed. Since it's a way that people express their personal beliefs, it makes them feel more authentic. Tattoos can act as memorials, symbols of overcoming struggles, and play a big role in grieving and processing memories. And finally, tattoos increase the self-esteem in the people who get them. That's according to a StatsCan survey. So would you agree that getting tattoos increases self-esteem?
Oh, 100%. I know as I cover my body more and more, it's more a reflection of how I see my internal world, which is to me very empowering, and it makes myself feel better. And I know I'm not alone in someone collecting their own art pieces to embrace and feel more comfortable and confident in their own skin.
Great. Well, thank you so much for that. So we're going to jump right into the topic, talking about the most important processes attached to the tattoo, the artwork and the consultation. Without those things, you don't really have a tattoo, do you?
Not quite. Like I like to connect with people. I want to know what is inspiring their art piece to begin with and what they want to do with it. Because, example, we can collaborate with an idea and what someone originally brings. I can also add input, and that might transform it into something that is much more meaningful and a lot more reflective of what they want to see or embrace.
Excellent. So it's a collaborative process.
Yes.
Great. Well, our first question for the day is, how do you approach creating artwork for a client?
So the way that I personally go about it is I will request a person to come in for a consultation. I'll set them up with a appointment date to come and sit and talk with me, so I can get more of an idea of where they're going with an image. It, for myself, makes it a lot more challenging when it's just online, because there's so many things that I take away from an experience, someone's tone of voice, their body expression, their whole story in general. I like to pick up on a lot of that and incorporate it back into a piece that is going to be symbolic for them. So I like to ideally get a consultation and see them in person. And from that point, start the process of seeing where they're wanting to take their artwork.
Great. That's so important. I think a lot of people don't realize exactly what is going into the consultation. They think it's just where the tattoo artist will see their idea for the first time, but it's more nuanced than that.
Much so. Like there's, for me, a lot more to it than just having this brief little chat. Because like, example, you can have someone that gets something very tiny, such as like a little heart. To an average artist, it's going to be like, oh, that's a very simple tattoo. Yeah, not a problem. But I want to understand, what does this symbolize? Is it something that is just because you really like it and it's cute and it fits your aesthetic and that's how you want to show up and that's how you enjoy decorating yourself? Or is it something that, example, your grandma used to write it in a certain way and used to have these little hearts at the end of something, and this is a very sentimental piece. There's a huge arrangement of different examples and different ways that people can come in with their ideas. And that can kind of set the tone of what we are aiming for down the road as well, if they do want to elaborate or if they want to continue adding on to their pieces.
Excellent. Things that I hadn't even considered.
Yeah.
I'll say our next question is, what can a client expect during a consultation?
So during a consultation, I will ask questions that I think are important. I will try to understand what it is that a person is aiming for and what they're seeking to get from the experience, what they want to see on their body. And then from my own personal expertise, give input of what I think is achievable or would be best suited for their outcome. And from there, create a process where I like to break it down as much as possible to what is to be expected during the session itself, to what's expected to happen with me creating the artwork and setting up appointment dates to do artwork reviews. I used to have it where I would send it over email or I would send it over text. I didn't find that to be very great for how I enjoy communicating with people, and found it more stressful than beneficial for creating custom pieces for people. So I have now done a follow-up where I like to have artwork review beforehand, so I can also have a second time to get together, sit down, talk about the artwork that I've now created for them, and go through the fine tuning of what it is that they see, if it is hitting the mark of what they want to do, or if we need to make fine tweaks to it, or if it's something that is even aligned with where they actually are going with something. I have experienced some people who they're not quite certain where they want to go and they're completely open with their artwork. They're willing to just let me have full reign and they're comfortable with that. And I've had some individuals that they don't know exactly what they want to do, but they haven't exactly taken the time to mull it over. And then we get into situations where I've created something and it's not hitting the mark and it's just not what both of us are expecting. And hopefully from my first consultation that I've done with them, plus sitting through another artwork viewing and making it very crystal clear of the boundaries that I set on creating artwork, of what's to be expected when starting a piece with me. So I like to make it as clear or as transparent as possible when I'm engaging with a client, and making sure that they're comfortable speaking up and saying no if they don't like something. Because I have heard other stories with people being forced into a decision where they're not actually happy with something. That's never my objective. If someone's not happy with what I'm creating for them and I'm just not hitting the mark for them, that's okay too. That just means that maybe we're not as aligned as we had hoped in the beginning. And that's okay if I'm not their artist for them. It just means that we gave it a try and it didn't work out. And now we know for the future of what is not working for them. which also gives them input.
That's great to know. So it's a figuring out process as well as discussing artwork and looking at their body and seeing what would fit on their body.
100%. Because once again, you can love someone's artwork and find out that you just don't really vibe with that artist. And if you're going to be sitting for hours in a chair, I certainly don't want someone super uncomfortable sitting with me. So it's also a chance and opportunity to make sure that we're both good and feeling confident moving forward in our decisions before committing to something that is going to be transforming.
Great. It's also important to note that a consultation is best in person because you can get those feelings and those vibes together rather than online where a lot of nuance tends to be lost.
Very much so. I find it very tricky for online communication, being that you don't get that sense and it can be miscued or can get lost in translation of what someone had thought something meant versus what I'm trying to describe to them, such as someone, for instance, saying that they want something that is popping or in their face. And I like to break that down. I'm like, okay, what does popping mean to you? Does that mean like you want a shadow drop behind something? Does that mean you want bright colors? Does that mean like, what is that in context to what that means for that person? So that's where I like to have them in person just so that I can really get an idea, see the image, see what they're indicating to of what it means for them, and being able to ask that question in person, be like, is this what you mean? Can I double check with you? I want clarity on this. I want to make sure we're on the same page.
That's so good to know. And are clients expected to pay for the consultation?
Consultations are completely free. You can come in and chat with me. I do like setting it up through time slots. So if they choose to just show up at the studio and expect a consultation on spot, sometimes I might be available. And other times I might have a session which has been booked. They have been allotted that time and it is out of respect prioritized to them, being that they have paid for my time and my attention during that session. So it's a hit and miss if you try to just walk in, but I am more than happy to set it up, setting an actual time frame where we both agree and I have time to give my full undivided attention to the individual that I'm consulting with.
Great. That's so good to know. Don't walk in unless you're expecting to maybe hear no for an answer.
Yes.
All right. What is required for a deposit?
So after the consultation, after we have agreed upon hopefully what has been defined and broken down of expectations for the design, if they do want to start the process, I do require a deposit. A deposit typically can range from $100 to $175. If it's a small little piece that is an under hour, it's going to require the $100. If it is something that is a larger concept, at minimum, I'm going to require $175. It can fluctuate and change, especially if individuals have not been able to communicate with me in a manner that is respectable on both sides in stating if something is coming up. If they are no-showing me, the next time if they try to book with me, it's going to require a much larger deposit than just the $175. So it's just some things to keep in mind. I will start at the lower end, and if things need to be adjusted, it will go to a higher price.
And at what point are the deposits forfeited?
Deposits get forfeited when, as I mentioned just briefly there, you no-show. If you are late to the session more than 30 minutes, if after we have done a consultation and we have gone through the fine-tuning of the artwork and hopefully the expectations of what both are stating they can do or what is being presented to them, and we've booked a second artwork view and have people come in. It can be forfeited if I'm creating a completely new design for someone's artwork after we've already had that initial consultation. That was the time that we spent to fine tune and get to the nitty gritty of where we're going with artwork.
So that would be a case of someone has come in, they've done a consultation, you've done artwork, you've fine-tuned the artwork, and then they come back saying, I want something completely different.
So to elaborate, they've come in, we've done the consultation, we've hopefully nailed it, made it very crystal clear what's to be expected. We do the artwork viewing, and it's fine if there's some fine tuning that needs to be changed with it, and we change up some aspects. But if I'm completely restarting a drawing for them, at that point, it does run the risk of forfeiting the deposit. So example, if I'm creating a back piece and I have done artwork for it and we've been crystal clear and I've gotten consent from an individual to do certain things, and then they come back and they decide that they want something completely different style, different design altogether, you're now required to put a new deposit down for the time that has been taken for the drawing process that I've already started and having to restart.
All right. That's good to know. So people should be at least having a general idea of what they want when they come do a consultation.
Yes.
Great. And is it normal for studios to ask for deposits?
It is more often than not common for a studio to ask for a deposit. There is some studios where they still allow for no deposits whatsoever. I personally do deposits to make sure that I'm respecting that client's time and they're respecting my time, and that we are both in this agreement and consenting to this process. As I have had individuals who will say that they will do something and that they will follow through, but then don't tend to own up to that. So just out of making sure that we're both on the same page and that we are serious about a process, it does require that deposit, which simply gives them their time slot, lets them know that they are booked, and it does come back to them as long as they show up for their session and they're ready to go, prepared, on time, and moving forwards with what we expected or outlined in the very beginning.
Excellent. And if someone does a no-show, that means that you have that spot, whether it's an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours, that you don't have any other tattoos planned because that client was coming in. So it's really to cover a little bit of the cost of the loss of income that you would have from someone doing a no-show.
Precisely, because just as anyone else, they would like to be able to have a paycheck to secure their homes and make sure they have food on the table. I would like the same. So it's just that insurance that they are coming through with it, and ensuring that they're serious about what they're planning to do.
Excellent. Can I show up for a consultation without an appointment and get an opportunity to talk to an artist?
Potentially. If I am available, I will be more than happy to help. If I am in the middle of a session with someone else, you might be sitting there for a little bit waiting until I take a break to be able to have a very brief chat. Because once again, I have allocated that time for the client that has paid and has booked that session. Otherwise, there might be just some points where I simply don't have the capacity or don't have the ability to focus on something else as I'm already engaged with a tattoo, to which I like to give my full attention and my full presence to something where my mind is already focused on something. And I don't believe it is fair to take away from that to try to start something new, being that I want every individual to make sure that they're getting the best piece that they possibly can from me.
That's so good to know. And it's safe to say that if you've been following an artist, if you're a fan of their work and you want a tattoo from them, that they might be a busy artist already, and it's not always going to be possible to show up and talk to someone if you show up without getting a consultation or having an appointment.
Yes. And even with that, if they're okay with it, they can also choose another artist within the studio and go that direction too. It just depends on how soon they really want to get something.
Yeah, and how much they want you to be the artist that provides it for them.
Exactly.
Excellent. I think that's all the questions I have today. Thank you so much, Jay, for explaining artwork and consultation as part of getting a tattoo. Remember, when you get a custom tattoo, you're asking an artist to create brand new artwork designed to fit on your three-dimensional body. It will be a one-of-a-kind piece of artwork special to you, and the consultation actually reflects this. If you're looking for a custom tattoo, contact Jay for that consultation. And Jay, where can we find you?
I got multiple platforms. I have TikTok, which is SkinartJ. I have Instagram, that's SkinartJ. I have my website, which is SkinartJTattoos.com. I have my Facebook, which is also SkinartJ. I believe it's SkinartJ Tattoos, something like that. I believe it's SkinartJ Tattoos.
We'll put a link in the description of the video.
Perfect.
And if they want to text you for an appointment, what's the number?
780-722-2023.
Perfect. Go get those consultations and get some beautiful one-of-a-kind artwork. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you for having me.